You ready? Okay. All right. Shalom, shalom. Ooh wee. Shalom, shalom. My good. This is a continuation from last week, is it not?
You said it was gonna be worse.
No, I said it was gonna be worse this time.
Yeah, it's gonna be worse. I thought it was like this is supposed to be a good one, like explaining the rest of the.
Well, we going back into the different wins and stuff that may or may not associate with you. So I don't know how you take it, But all right. So last week, we talked about when something's hot. We talked about the culmination of what happens with these different winds or ruachs that are inside of you. We talked about the Father's wrath and the consequences thereof. Now we're getting back to all these different spirits that may be inside of you. And so I'm going to repeat the questions that I had last week. Uh, did you really have to pick up the mic now? I mean, no. All right, so I'm going to repeat the questions. All right, so when someone you know and love tells you that they are angry, what's your reaction?
Burn. Oh,
Okay. I can't hear. It's a lot of people talking. You can answer this question.
What you anger about?
You're asking what you're angry about. All right. Okay.
Let's get together and see if we can come up with an issue. Figure out what the issue is and let's fix it.
Well, there's an issue because they were angry in the first place. Not a man.
What is it that has caused you to be so angry?
Okay, so everybody got the same little thing. Everybody wants to find out what the problem really is, right?
Tell me what the problem is.
All right. Well, think about this. Do you brush them off? Say who cares? Do you back off of them and give them their space? Yeah, you.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Oh, you give them tough love. I see. Or do you try and see what the problem is that got them to that state in the first place? Most of you said yes. That's what you do, right? Now, or in this case that we'll see today, when it comes to you, do you try and correct the problem if it involves you? Mhm. Now, just like last week, I'm asking these questions because I realize, with everything else that goes on with people, sometimes all it takes is for someone just to show that they care, to actually change the situation. Right? And remember, just like I was sharing with you all last week, when it comes to the Father's punishment, if you just show that you care and that you are you want to repent for what you did, that can change the situation sometimes. Right? Now, you said, you don't think so? Yeah, well, yeah. If they want to do it, right? All right, all right, all right. So basically, anger issues are real, and today I just want to show you just three. We're only going to go over three, and throughout the lesson, I want to see if you all can identify with one of them.
oh yeah, we're gonna do that today.
Yeah. Huh? No, we're talking about human anger now. We talked about the Father last week. Now it's about human anger. It's about you.
We're gonna talk about the we're gonna reflect on the
Huh?
rage, anger, and wrath within yourself.
In yourself.
You said
right?
three,
Three of them. We're going to go over three.
and the three's in one. Okay,
That's called bipolar. We ain't going to talk about that today. Yeah.
Got the symbol.
All right. Let's go over the rule. I know we all love them and we all obey them, right? Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There is a feature on Zoom in the meeting room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to the time and the recordings of the lessons. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. This will be mixed with discussions to help build one another. Please do not abuse the time. All right. So we're going to start with a little bit of a review. 'Cause I know it's been a while since we did this. No, last week was something totally new. We didn't go back into it. So let's talk about emotions for a moment, okay? We all remember this. You never remember your emotions. A natural instinct, state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others. All right. Similarly, we talked about it being feeling or response, and I should have highlighted reaction as well. And all of this is the opposite of coldness and being indifferent, right? But what we focused on was an instinctive or intuitive feeling as distinguished from reasoning or knowledge. Remember, I said when you make your decision based on your emotions, it has to be something that is based on fact. It should not be based on how you feel, right? Or your feeling. So your response or your reaction to something, right? And all that is the opposite of intellect. Right? All right. Then we talked about inclination, a person's natural tendency or urge to act or feel in a particular way, a disposition or propensity, right? Similarly, it means a tendency or you're leaning towards something or your weakness or desire for that said thing. And all of that is the opposite of aversion or disinclination. So just a little quick review. All right. It might do me good if I actually keep up with it on my keyboard. All right. Then we talked about emotions of the heart that may be glad. Exodus 4 and 14. Then the anger of Yahuah was kindled against Moses, and he said, is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. All right. So we said that with this verse, with Aharon, it was a feeling of emotion, right? It was a reaction to being with his brother. Right? The father is always a waymaker. He knew that Moses was going to need some help, so he had his brother with him, right? So the word for glad in this was a H8055. What is that? All right. It gives you a feeling of glee, some mature to be glad, and so forth. You all remember all this stuff? Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure. All right. We don't. You don't. All right. And then we also have it being as a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. This is what, I just want to remind you about that first statement we made about emotion. So just keep all this stuff in mind as we go through the lesson. Again. All right. Now we are supposed to delight in doing the will of the Father. Psalms 125 and 4. Do good, O Yahuwah, to those who are good and to those who are upright in their hearts. Mhm. The word here for upright is the H3477. Okay. You can get somebody else a chance. All right. To be straight, right? well, well pleasing, right? Figuratively, what is right, what ought to be done, that which is just and meet. Deuteronomy 6 and 5. You all know this, right? You should love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, or with all your or strength, as it would say, right? So the command to love Yahuwah with all your whole heart, soul, and might is a command to love with entirety of the self, right? It goes in line with those actions of the inner man versus the outer man. We haven't heard that in a while. All right. There has to be a want to hear, a want to believe, and a want to do, right? That's what sets you apart from other people, right? It's the whole duty of man, not just what you want to cherry pick. All right. All right. All right. It's coming back to you. I see you nodding your head. It's coming back. I got it. All right. So the heart is deceitful and wicked.
Lave, talk to us.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah 17 and 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it? Right? Jeremiah 17 and 10 now. I, Yahuwah, search the heart and test the mind to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. Right. So the Hebrew word here for mind is the H3629, kilia, right? As an essential organ, the mind as the interior self. All right, it's the innermost double instrument. It's as a vessel, as the seat of the desires and affections. Remember, we said this a long time ago that back in those times when they wanted to put emphasis on something, they used the internal organs that were the most important, right? So we have the kidneys here, or the mind as a kidney, all right?
So we understand then that the heart that is referring
Yeah,
to,
I
even
don't
though
think
it's,
anybody can hear you.
I hope so, as the mic is on.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so that the even though it's translated as heart in this um, scenario here is saying it's the mind, but
Mhm.
it's specifically a type of mind. So it's this one here sharing. If everyone knows the purpose of a kidney, right, which is to what? To filter, right? So it's letting you know in your mind to actually filter these things that come out. So test and filter these things, give a man according to his ways, not just yours. You have to allow your heart to operate like, or your mind to operate like a filter, if you will.
So in that same sense, what does a vessel do? Give somebody else a chance. What does a vessel do? It's behind you. Oh, there you go. He got it.
It holds something.
Okay. Now, man,
Oh, it
go
has
ahead.
it it contains.
Right. Simply put, it holds something, right? So when it comes to a person, it's regarded as holding, embodying, or a particular quality, just like Moreh was saying. All right. All right. So what have we learned thus far, right? We learned that the heart is more deceitful than anything, right? It's perverse. What else? We have the Father says that I search the heart and do what? Test the mind, all right? The mind and the heart are hidden elements of a human personality, all right? But Elohim sees them perfectly, right? Just remember what he said, to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds. Now, we talked about this before, right? You will be judged upon your actions, right? What you do, what you don't do. All right.
Yeah, I can't slick it,
Oh, hey, look, you can backslide if you want to.
but I can slick it.
Uh-uh. Wisdom of Solomon, for inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his words shall come unto Yahuah for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. And we talked about this before. Like, there's no way you're going to hide anything from the Father. Right? That thing is always going to be put out there when it needs to be. Go ahead.
So just really fast though, because sometimes people can say, well, he forgives,
Mm,
right? Oh, I did it, but forgive me.
mm. Yeah,
But
he
you
gonna,
remember, he's checking what? Your heart. So however wicked that was, you can't use in your mind that I'll act this way out towards somebody, and then later on ask for forgiveness or get the forgiveness and think it's okay. The intent of your heart is what he's after. So if you did that maliciously, then there's judgment that's going to come with that.
he's still going to find it out. That's that whole inner man versus the outer thing, right? Mm-hmm. That inner man gonna come out. All right. So when it comes to unbelief, as far as the world is concerned, you have apostasy, right? The abandonment or renunciation of a religious or political belief. And we focus on faithlessness and defection on it, right? Betrayal, even. Mhm. It is the lack of faith and trust in Elohim that challenges his truthfulness and finds expression in disobedience and rebellion. This failure to trust Elohim holds back his blessings and leads to condemnation and spiritual death. So it all comes full circle basically with that thing. All right, good night. We done. Right? All right, maybe not. Psalm 78, 21 and 22. Therefore, when Yahuwah heard, he was full of wrath. A fire was kindled against Jacob. His anger rose against Israel because they did not believe in Elohim and did not trust his saving power. Now, we went over this last week, right? We said when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, when you're ignoring the Father's word, what are you doing? You are igniting a fire that does what? It kindles his wrath, right? His anger. Mhm. All right. How we doing so far? All right, now we're gonna get into day less. Anger of the humankind. Human anger arises for a number of reasons, some of which are acceptable and others which are not. Scripture stretches that the potential destructive aspects of human anger and urges moderation. Now, from a worldly perspective, anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Right? And similarly, you see here as being vexed, irritation, your rage, fury, wrath, which we always talked about, right? All of this is the opposite of pleasure and good humor. Now, as a verb is to fill someone with anger or to provoke anger from within. And similarly, right there, it's the same as it was above, but then we have pique. Does anybody know what pique means? She said, mm-mm. You want to try? Yeah, he wants to try.
Is it like to stimulate? You are stirring it up.
You stirring up some gifts? Mhm. All right. All right. It's to feel irritated or resentful. Mm-hmm. All right. So it's basically the same thing here, to irritate or to annoy, to bother, to vex someone. All right.
I'm very peaked with you.
Oh. We even got in the lesson yet, and you're already mad. Oh. All right. So 3 types of anger that we're going to look at today. The first one's going to be passive aggression. Okay. So here are 3 types of anger which help shape how we react in a situation that makes us angry. These are passive aggression, open aggression, and assertive anger. If you are angry, the best approach is assertive anger. We'll talk about last. Passive aggressive behavior is a pattern of indirectly expressing negative feelings instead of openly addressing them. There's a disconnect between what a passive aggressive person says and what he or she does. You say one thing and do another, thus making it hard for people to gauge you, which in turn sends the wrong message about you and what you are about. Other examples of passive aggressive behavior might include avoiding direct or clear communication, invading problems, fear of intimacy or competition, competition, making excuses, blaming others, obstructionism, playing the victim, feigning. Yeah, is that's you playing the victim? Is why you always messing with me? That's you. Uh huh.
I ain't getting nobody nothing. I'm just trying to treat everybody right.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Coming at
We're going to have to work on that. Feigning compliance with requests, sarcasm, backhanded compliments, and hiding anger, which we talk about, right? Why are people passive aggressive? People may act like this because they fear losing control, are insecure, or lack self-esteem. They might do it to cope with stress, anxiety, depression, or insecurity, or to deal with rejection or conflict. Alternatively, they might do it because they have a grudge against a colleague or feel underappreciated.
So I'm not sure if it's on this one here, but another form of passive aggression is it's kind of encompassing this here. But just to be clear, you ever hear someone tell you that they don't want to say nothing? I don't want to tell you nothing. In other words, they know that there's an anger in there, but they rather keep their mouth shut,
Hmm.
right? But when they keep their mouth shut, how are they acting towards that person?
oh, it's terrible.
Remember, we said that on Pesach, right? You keep that thing in, you let it bottle up, and it keeps growing and it keeps growing to a point where it's not going to matter if someone wants to help you or not, right? Yeah, that's a form of passive aggressive. Hmm. It ain't fun. Don't even worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god. Hmm. Go ahead.
Mike, she
She
said
needs a mic.
she said she need Yahuah to give her the mic. Oh, that what she said?
That's that backhanded.
What you saying if you have passive aggressive you don't. I'm gonna give you an incident.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I tried to, but I didn't. I was at work, and one of our job duties, they think it's somebody else. So I reached in there and I went to get dinner plates. And then when I looked in there, one of the job is keep it full at all time. I see 5 plates.
Mm.
So I said it out loud. It just came out. I said, this is not my job only. We are told that we should keep these things caught up and always have them so they'd be ready to be pulled. I said, I'm not the only one to working here to remember this. It was addressed in email. So I tell you what, I'll do it this time. And young man came up and said, we're going to do it together. I say, thank you, because nobody else moved. So I was right then, I was kind of,
Okay, but that's a little bit different from passive
That's the
aggressive.
next one.
oh,
That's the next one.
that was a good one. So I
No,
directed.
that wasn't good.
You talking about
That
some
was still
assertive stuff,
aggressive.
huh? Talking about some
This ain't
assertive
my job. That's aggressive. We talking about that's good. She, she came.
But yeah, at that time I was peak.
At the time you was annoyed, huh?
Sometimes you gotta, hey, I'm just talking.
Now, when it comes to your neighbor, all right, let's keep it going. When it comes to your neighbor, we gotta remember Matthew 5:21-26, right? You have heard that it was said to those of old, you should not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults or rakah his brother will be liable to counsel, and whoever says you fool or moros, which is foolish or stupid, will be liable to the hell of fire. So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there, remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge and the judge to the guard and you be put in prison. Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. So you kind of did that. Yeah, you made it known at least. Go ahead.
Okay. So just so we clear that but doesn't mean like saying the word says this, but I'm saying something
right.
opposite of
No,
that.
no.
Right? Because some people may view that. If you look that up in the Greek, it's like saying and I say, like and further I say. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, scholar. From the Dead Sea Scrolls, one another in truth, in meekness, and in compassionate love for one's fellow man. Right? No one should speak to his brother in anger or muttering, or with a hard neck, or with passionate spirit of wickedness. And he should not detest him in the foreskin of his heart, but instead reproach him that day so as not. All right. So again, that's what you kind of did, You kind of did that.
Moreh, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Actually, before you move on from that piece right there,
Let's go back.
because this particular scripture I've always had a question about, because I see in other places where it says it, and then here it says for you not to say it. And it's in verse, I think, what is that, 23, where it speaks about you should not insult your brother, you'll be liable of counsel, and you shall not say you fool, because you'll be liable of hellfire. So it's the you fool part that I've always had a question about. So essentially right here, what it's saying is if, you got an issue with your brother and, y'all come together and you're trying to work it out, don't like dismiss him and say you fool, or
Mhm.
is that what it's
Yeah, because
basically
what is this
saying?
going to solve? You're going to insult them. That's not
So
taking
it's
care of the
adding
issue,
further insult to injury,
right?
so
Hmm.
to speak. Okay. But it's not saying that you can't ever say the word fool.
Hey, fool, let's talk about it. No.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
it's
like
the
I said, I've
context
seen
of
in
it.
other places where it actually will call someone a fool.
Hmm.
So
But the thing is to not, like you said, further
further the
that situation
instigate.
that you're
Right.
supposed to be trying to resolve.
Right.
And you go ahead and call them stupid, and you might as well forget it. Go back and get your gift. You
Right.
ain't finna do it now.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to be clear.
Any other questions? All right. Fear. Now, fear typically one of the primary emotions, right? Like fear or sadness can be found underneath the anger. Fear includes things like anxiety and worry, and sadness comes from the experience of loss, disappointment, or discouragement. This leads us to the next aggression, which is open aggression. Now, on the other hand, many people have a tendency to lash out in anger and rage, becoming physically or verbally aggressive. Hmm. Is that what you kind of did? Huh? This is not my job. Hmm? I'm just saying.
No, I said it was all our jobs.
No, well, it's the aggression part, you know what I'm saying, and can oftentimes hurt themselves or others. This is called open aggression. This comes out in fighting, bullying, blackmailing, accusing, shouting, bickering, sarcasm, and criticism. All right. The last one is assertive anger. This is the healthy way to deal with anger is by being controlled and confident, talking and listening and open to help in dealing with the situation. This assertive anger can help relationships to grow. It means thinking before you speak, being confident in how you say it, yet open and flexible to the other side. It means being patient, not raising your voice, communicating how you are feeling emotionally, and really trying to understand what others are feeling. When you deal with anger assertively, you demonstrate that you are mature and care about your relationships and yourself. Forgiveness is always important if a person has apologized for making you angry, or if you realize that the situation isn't worth it. Be open to forgive and willing to be forgiven and forgive yourself. This will help you to calm down. It will help your relationships with others to flourish. Remember that you are important, your life counts, and you can make a difference in this world. Make a difference. All right. Reasons for human anger. Start with jealousy. Yeah. Well, there ain't nobody in here. I'm just giving examples, right? All right. Is the H7068, who is King
Can I?
Uh-huh. Is jealousy or being envious, right? For as a female, for the female form, it means zeal or jealousy, or ardor, which is enthusiasm or passion. Right. Now, both of these could be of noble and moral, justified zeal, and of ignoble passion and jealousy. All right. Then we have the H7065, which is what?
Can I?
All right. So this is basically the total opposite of it, right? It's to make zealous, i.e., in a bad sense, but you're still being jealous or envious or being envied. But here you also being provoked to jealousy or being zealous. Hmm? All right. Go through some examples. See this in action. We're going to start with Numbers 5, 11 to 15. We read this before. All right. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel. If any man's wife goes astray and breaks faith with him, if a man lies with her sexually and is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and she is undetected, though she has defiled herself, and there is no witness against her, since she was not taken in the act,
Mhm,
and if the spirit of jealousy or comes over her,
mhm,
comes over him, and he is jealous, which is kana, of his wife who has defiled herself,
mhm.
or if the spirit of jealousy has come over him and he is jealous of his wife, though she has not defile herself. The man shall bring his wife to the priest and bring the offering required of her, a tenth of an ephah of barley flour. He shall pour no oil on it and put no frankincense on it, for it is a grain offering of jealousy, a grain offering of remembrance, bringing iniquity to remembrance. All right. I was waiting for you to say something. I knew you was going to say something.
No. They're familiar with that.
Yeah, I think they might be familiar with this.
Yeah, because this is also the same part as they uncover their head.
Hmm.
They go through this whole ritual because of how he feels. Now some sisters may say, "Well, but I didn't do anything wrong," and literally they didn't do anything wrong. They may say, "I didn't do anything wrong," but to quench that jealousy in him, you have to go through that.
Hmm. The way I was looking at it, put it like this: everything that we say and do, we must go to the Father first, right? No matter if we're right or wrong, right? Because in some instances, even though she may not have done anything, you want to make sure that you get confirmation. Because remember, he didn't get confirmation on that. If it was what it's supposed to be, that's why he's doing this in the first place, right? So you always want to make sure that you put your decision through the Father first before you do or say something that you ain't got no business doing or saying. Right? Any questions?
So you're saying we're not supposed to assume nothing?
Assumptions can get you in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Kanisha.
I just wanted Moreh Lamad to. Did he say something that it was because she didn't cover her head? I missed that completely.
Let me go ahead and extend that. Let me expand on that for you, sister. All right. No. It's just as you keep reading that same chapter, it starts going into a ritual where she has to uncover her head. And, when she gets from the priest, the priest has to uncover her hair. Her head. She has to take the bitter water. It's like a whole ritual that comes with it because of how he feels. And so by removing the head covering, just like basically stating that he felt like someone was in his covering, if you will, and that because of that, her covering is being removed because he feels though someone else came into his house and did things with his Isha or his wife. So that's what I meant by that. Also, what also helps out a little bit with this is to consider, the appearance, because one may say, well, how did this guy get to this stage? And how he shunned the appearance of evil. So sometimes we can put ourselves in a position to where it caused that. Now, when I say that, I'm saying it two ways. One is a sister can make her Ish jealous because she's not getting attention, for an example. And so she does that, which causes him, even though she didn't do anything, but can cause him to be upset because she's not getting attention. So she wants to make him a little jealous, and he gets there, and that could be a problem. Other way is he could be doing something wrong and just looking at each other like she got to be doing wrong because I'm doing wrong, right? And then that becomes a problem. But in layman's terms, I'm just saying that one of the rituals is that she would have to uncover her head and then take the bitter water.
You see how that works?
Yeah, I do. So then my thing is, it seems like that's almost as if it's like a shaming to her to even take that head covering off in front of the priest, in front of her head, in front of, anyone other than her Ish.
Right. So in this respect, because she's coming for the priest, but the good thing behind it is if she takes the bitter water and she's found righteous, she's redeemed.
It falls back on him.
So now they can now talk to him, but she is in good standing. But yes, if she is and her belly swells and her thigh rot, she got to walk like nobody's business. And she going to be having this limp, but all will know what she has done.
All that because of no communication.
Really? Oh, she just out there showing her teeth to every guy she meet.
No, not the teeth. Not those pretty molars now.
Smiling at everybody.
You be smiling like that. Something wrong with y'all. Genesis 4, 4 and 5. And Abel also brought up the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And Yahuah had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry and his face fell. He, was was he jealous of his brother because of that? Huh? Now remember last week, yeah, he was very angry. Now remember last week I said, you will be rewarded based upon your actions, right? Based upon your works. So if you're doing what's required of you, what do you have to worry about? Right? Who was he really angry with? You know who he was angry with, but that's because he was doing wrong, right? If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and being disobedient in the process, what do you expect to happen? Right? You can see. No, you had
No, I was just, I'm like, is Cain really angry with Abel? Is he really angry with Yahuah?
I know he was angry with the father.
So we take it out on each other when we get angry with the father.
What type of aggression is that? That was an open.
But
aggression.
I don't like what the words say.
Listen, cherry picking get you nowhere. Right? That's open aggression when you don't like something and you taking it out on somebody else.
So the father says something, you don't like it, so you take it out on the Moreh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm putting cases on all y'all. That's what that is.
But is it also possible that he was angry with himself because he knew he did wrong?
Well, it's a conviction at that point. But
yeah, but I mean, as we keep going, as we keep seeing things, we're going to start to see that you're going to have to start thinking about your inside, how you're perceiving. Even if you could be right, you still got to let it play out. You know what I mean? Because if not, it becomes the assumption. You assume, and you could sometimes assume right, sometimes you can assume wrong. But if you let it play out, then you allow more information to come out to be able to resolve the matter. But once you come into this assumption mode and you're already upset, all you're doing is wait for them to say, yep. And when as soon as they say it, I'm upset, I'm angry, I knew it, versus allowing them to talk. And I'm not saying they have a right or wrong, but think about if they're wrong, they're explaining something as to why they did it. And then you might find out that maybe something that you did caused that reaction. And this is why they're lashing back at you. And therefore, you allow it to play itself out versus just assuming something, you know what I mean? And then, you just wait for them just to admit it. And then now you're upset.
Well, that's the power of decision making when the father is involved. That's the whole point. When you're doing this based on his confirmation, his word that he gives you, he's not going to steer you in the wrong spot. But when you're sitting here and you're making these decisions based on your emotions, how you're feeling, your reaction to it, or your response to it, this is going to be the end result. Right? All right. 1 Samuel 18:8. And Shaul was very angry, and this saying displeased him. He said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed thousands. And what more can he have but the kingdom? This also got him hot right here. This is another reason why, right? This is 1 Samuel 15:20. And Samuel said to him, Yahuah has torn the kingdom of Israel from you this day, and has given it to a neighbor of yours who is better than you.
Gave it to a neighbor.
Woo. Now I highlighted that because I heard it me just reading. I can only imagine how he felt hearing it.
Who is
Nah, he don't hold.
You better than you.
And this is
wondering? If you was ever wondering.
that is passive. No, that's not passive aggression. That's open aggression. That's straight up. That's telling you, right? But this is also another example of worrying about someone else instead of worrying about yourself, right? Because again, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and obeying the Father, then what will make you think that David will be a threat if you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
When it says who is better than you, can that also be understood deeper as he's better than you from the perspective of
From Yah's perspective.
as far as like the Father's will, his desire, he is better than you because his inner man is in a much better state. So for that reason, he is better than you.
Or that, and he's the total opposite of what Shaul is. Right. But it goes back to your point. Yes, it's the inner man versus the outer man. David is showing his inner man to be true and right. And what is Shaul showing? All right. Y'all getting it. I like it. Now, again, the Hebrew word can refer to either a disordered human passion or a righteously motivated zeal, right? There's a good zeal and there's a bad zeal. Do you remember if we talked about that? Now, naturally, when we're talking about the Father, that is presumed to be the good zeal, right? All right, so let's take look at a couple of examples of that. First, Isaiah 9 and 7. Of the increase of his government and of peace, there will be no end on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of Yahuah of hosts will do this. Right? Let's look at Isaiah 42 and 13. Yahuah goes out like a mighty man, like a man of war. He stirs up his zeal. He cries out, he shouts aloud, he shows himself mighty against his foes. And let's look at Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore, wait for me, declares Yahuah, for the day when I rise up to seize the prey. For my decision is to gather nations, to assemble kingdoms, to pour out upon them my indignation, all my burning anger, for in the fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. And we read that last week, right? All right. That was just a little bit of a review right there. So I'm just trying to show you that the jealous zeal can be good or bad based on who it's talking about. It's talking about the Father is always going to be good, right? Humans, on the other hand, yeah, depends on who you're talking to. All right, pride. Reasons for human anger. Pride. All right, now the pride is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievement of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that they are widely admired. As a pappy. Similarly, is pleasure, joy, delight, gratification, but we want to focus on sense of achievement. They say, "Mama, they go that man." All right, now the Hebrew is the H1347. What is that? All right, it means height, eminence, pride, or presumption. Hosea 5 and 5. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. Israel and Ephraim shall stumble. Kashal means to fall or to be brought to ruin in his guilt. So Judah or Yehudah also shall stumble with them. Right? And again, here in Hosea 7 and 10, the pride of Israel testifies to his face, yet they do not return to Yahuah, their Elohim, nor seek him for all of this. So as we can see here, your pride or your arrogance can lead you to fall or be brought to ruin, right? It can also lead you to rebellion and forget about the one who's in control of your life in the first place. Right? Pride can definitely blind you and make you think you're somebody that you are not, and can start the trickle down effect of every other lesson we have done that had the combination that we had last week, right? Pride is a very, very, very terrible thing. Right? Any questions so far? It ain't that bad, is it? Okay. All right. The truth. Oh. So let's start with the H7571, right? You already know that. All right. Firmness, stability, faithfulness, right? Uprightness, all the total opposite of falsehood. Right? All right. Isaiah 39 and 8. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, the word of Yahuah that you have spoken is good, for he thought there will be peace and security in my days. Now, we talked about this last week as well. You can't ask the Father for something and not do what he wants you to do in return. We talked about Hezekiah last week and all the stuff that he did. You know, he was on his deathbed and he was crying. Father heard him, gave him what he wanted, and what did he do? All right. So in this, Yeah, he did, didn't he? So this is where works have replaced faith, man has replaced the Father, and pride has replaced humility. Right? When self-importance replaces tears and prayer, the word of Yahuwah becomes unyielding and accomplishes its purpose. So in the end, Yahuwah still did what he was supposed to do, even though Hezekiah didn't do what he was supposed to do. Right? All right. Truth hurts. Now, the truth of Hanani had prophesied against the king. The Second Chronicles 16:7-10. At the time, Hanani the seer came to Asa, the king of Yehuda, and said to him, because you have relied on the king of Syria and did not rely on Yahuwah, your Elohim, the army of the king of Syria has escaped you. Were not the Ethiopians and the Libyans a huge army with very many chariots and horsemen? well, be merry at the end of the day, yeah. Yet because you relied on Yahuwah, he gave them into your hand. For the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to give strong support to those whose heart is blameless toward him. You have done foolishly in this, for from now on you will have wars. The Asha was angry with the seer and put him in the stocks in prison, for he was in a rage with him because of this. And Asha inflicted cruelties upon some of the people at the same time. What aggression is this?
Open.
All right. All right. So this is the open aggression, right? He lashed out in anger and rage, becoming physical or verbally aggressive, and can oftentimes, he did hurt somebody and others, right? All right. So y'all get it. All right. It's supposed to be Balaam, the son of Beor. I think it's Peor. Numbers 24:10-14. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he struck his hands together. And Balak said to Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies, and behold, you have blessed them these 3 times. Therefore now flee to your own place, I said. I will certainly honor you, but Yahuwah has held you back from honor. And Balaam said to Balak, did I not tell your messengers whom you sent to me? If Balak should give me his house full of silver and gold, I will not be able to go beyond the word of Yahuwah. Didn't you hear what I told you? To do either good or bad of my own will. What Yahuwah speaks, that will I speak. And now, behold, I am going to my people. Come, I will let you know what this people will do to your people in the latter days. And that's truth for you right there, right?
I might be of another nation, but I can't go beyond what Yahuwah said.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Hold on. I had my old little spiel right there. So this is basically Balaam telling Balak, I'm not going to go against the Father's word, right? There's not an amount of nothing that could tear me away from what he has to say. Now, my question to all of you, how many of you hold this regard? When the Father has something for you and he tells you to do something, what do you do? Do you listen to the Father? Or do you sit up here, it could be outside influences that might make you go the opposite way. Do you follow that instead? Not be able to go beyond the word. Balaam said that. I'm talking about you. What do you say?
I'm saying the same thing.
Okay. You saying the same thing, but the thing is, there are a lot of outside influences that some people still can't handle.
Yes, there is.
Oh, here he comes. This will be where your foundation comes in. Remember the first couple lessons we did about your foundation, right? Are you able to handle the outside forces that might influence your decision-making process? So therefore, it goes back again, putting the Father first when you are making your decisions. All right. All right. So somber in here. Is it? Now, human anger is sometimes justified. Exodus 32:19. And as soon as he came near the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, Moshe's anger burned hot, and he threw the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. We all remember what this is, right? All right. This is what we were talking about last week about the people needing a babysitter. Remember? No sooner than he went up that mountain and came back down, they were doing something that they had no business doing. What happened? Did they consult the Father before they went? Before they? Okay, I'm just trying to see if you all, huh? Who did the high priest talk to? He ain't talk to nobody either, did he? He based on himself, right? All right, y'all understand. Exodus 16 and 20, but they did not listen to Moses again, right? Some left part of it till the morning, and they bred worms and stank, and Moses was angry with them. Right? So seeing that his anger could be justified because it all comes down to disobedience and just not plain listening. We all know this story too. This was right. It was about the manna. He told them, look, you have to take that manna at a certain time. If you don't, this is what's going to happen to them. What they do, they went out there looking for it anyway. All right. Number 16 and 15. And Moses was very angry and said to Yahuah, do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, and I have not harmed one of them. Remember this story? There's a story. This is Korah's rebellion, right? So it's all this is starting to repeat itself, right? This is all have to do with not listening and being disobedient, right? And then being told the truth and acting like, well, why are you coming down on me, right? Just like children. Mark 3, 1-5. And again he entered the synagogue, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they watched Yahushua to see whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. Yeah, listen. And he said to the man with the withered hand, come here. And he said to them, is it lawful on Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill? But they were silent. They were watching them so they can accuse him of something. But when he came back on them, they had nothing to say, right? And he looked around at them with anger or yea, which is wrath, and grieved at their hardness or porosis. This is stupidity or blindness of the heart, and said to the man, stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. All right. All right. Let's move this right along here. Now, what are the results of human anger? We can start with strife. All right. To be angry or bitter, disagreement over fundamental issues or conflict, right? And similarly, it means quarreling, the wrangling, or the bickering. And all of this is the opposite of having harmony, peace, or cooperation. All right, and then in the Hebrew we have the H4066, and what is this?
Madon.
There you go. It means the same thing, right? It's a contest or quarrel, brawling or contention, right? Strife or a verbal quarrel, the source or object of the said contention. All right. A couple of examples. Proverbs 29 and 22. A man of wrath stirs up strife, and one given to anger causes much transgression or rebellion. Proverbs 30 and 33. For pressing milk produces curds, pressing the nose produces blood, and pressing anger produces strife. Now, the Hebrew word for strife here is the H7379. It is reeve, right? It's dispute, brawl, quarrel, or has a legal cause to it, right? All right. Sin. This is self-explanatory, but I thought I'd throw it up in there anyway. James 1:20, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of Elohim. That's a whole lesson right there. Right? Proverbs 14:17, a man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. And last we have Proverbs 14:29, whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Again, this all goes to what are you doing that leads you to your decision making? What emotions are you following? What responses, what reactions, and what feelings are you gathering that's leading you to do something that you know you have no business doing? All right. And keep in mind, just like last week, this is all based on if you are in the truth, right? If you have agreed to the covenant And you said all that you say we will do. This is what this is about. This isn't about you being out there in the world and doing what you want to do. Okay? All right. All right. I just want to put that out there. All right. Not taking revenge and renouncing anger. Romans 12:19. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath or of Elohim. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahuah. Right? So again, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, following his word, what is something that's doing on the outside got to do with you? Why won't you let him do what he's supposed to do based on his word? All right. I know all y'all know this stuff, but it's hard. What's hard about it?
What I was thinking, depending on how much more slides you got,
Oh, okay.
we can actually go over some examples because that's the problem. We can read about it, we can listen, but when we start giving some good examples,
I don't see myself.
there's a whole different thing.
Anybody want to say themselves? Give me an example.
That's what I'm saying. We open the floor up and say,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
I would like to have an example because maybe everyone's saying this is not me, and they could be the very one that's not claiming. Okay.
Moreh, I would like to have an example of all the angers that humans go through so that I can identify if I have anything inside me so I can clear it up.
Have you not been? I done went through 12 slides that done talked about all 3 of them.
Hold on. He's talking about like
I know.
personal.
Go ahead, Moreh. Now we get back.
Personal.
I was gonna say, patience. Like, with everything that's going on with this pandemic, sometimes when, you go into the stores, you might forget your face mask in the car. You got to run back to the car and get your mask and put it on your face. Or you go in the store and you're getting ready to put it on. Somebody say, you got to put your mask on. Sometimes for me, I get a little impatient or frustrated and I have to catch myself, not, get too snappy, snapping back and, and just, getting that part of myself under control. Got to follow the rules. And, when the way I think sometimes and how I feel about things, sometimes I can't let my feelings, get ahead of me and, wind up doing something out of character or saying something out of character.
Okay.
What a question would that be? That'll be passive, right? All right. Somebody back.
I have a question. And so when Moreh Lamad said that earlier that you should not hold stuff in, I'm going to say I'm guilty of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole lesson got me back here about to have a panic attack, I believe. I don't know if it's just hot in here, but this is like really, really touching home.
I think that might be a little conviction there. Yeah. It might be a little conviction there. Yeah.
And so I'm like really, really quiet and I don't share a lot and I do hold in my anger. But then I'm looking at this slide and for me, it's like, okay, I'm just going to be quiet. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to let the Father handle it. And sometimes I get in trouble by the Moreh when I don't say what the issue is.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I need to do?
Well, remember what I said. When you keep that stuff in, you letting it fester, you letting it grow and grow and grow. That can provoke you to the anger. Right? That's the whole point of this. When communication breaks down, it leads to things that maybe you may not necessarily say or do normally. So the best thing is communication. Say what you got to say.
But then in me saying what I have to say, then it tends to hurts people's feelings. And then I pray about it. And I was like, Father, just take the wheel.
What was the last 4 slides about truth?
Mm-hmm.
The truth gonna hurt you sometimes. But would you rather say the truth or keep it in to a point where it's going to hurt you in the long run, and not the person that it was meant to be towards. Right? Not a
Shalom, Moreh.
Mm,
I have a question.
mm,
With me is I try to explain things to the best of my ability. I try to get it out to where people can understand my perspective and where I'm coming from, because I'm real slow to anger and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But it gets to the point where I'm trying to explain it, and this person, I mean, it's like they're cold. They're like really cold, and they're not taking like my feelings into consideration if I've, made a mistake, or if I've done something wrong, and I'm very remorseful of it. And I'm trying to, explain it to them, and they're still just really staunch in what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I forgive you. Okay, then, well, if you forgive me and I'm very sorry, then why can't, things go back to where they once were? If you
sorry, 60 seconds was up, but I understand what you're saying. But think about what Balaam did. He told Balak, "Look, this is what the Father has to say. I'm going to say it. I don't care what you say or what you try to do to me." Sometimes you have to have that same attitude, especially when it's something that's righteous. You can't hold your tongue. How is that helping anybody when you're holding your tongue when it needs when something needs to be said? Now, it also goes to the fact that you're talking about in the way that you say it. Yes, the way that you say it can affect it too, but that shouldn't make you fearful to say it. All right. Another point is about what I asked you earlier. It also comes down to your foundation. Are you going to be upset, or are you going to be scared to say something because of what someone might say or what someone might do? Like, where's your conviction in all of this?
Okay, they had a couple more people on there, but real quick,
Yeah.
just so we clear, that if you don't say something, sometimes within yourself, you start to beat yourself down.
You convict yourself.
You then start to have this passive aggression as you move throughout the day, throughout the week, towards one another. Why? Because the thing that you really wanted to say to them, you didn't say.
You didn't say in the first place.
You know what I mean? And so in the end, it still hurts you. The other person then probably done moved on,
Forgot all
not
about
knowing
it.
anything about it, while you
Hmm.
still hot. So you need to make sure you get around. But I know they had a couple more in.
Okay, we got somebody in the back.
Shalom. This kind of hits for me as well because last week, last Yom Shabbat, something occurred, and no, well, the sisters probably know what I'm talking about, and I was trying to figure out how do I, approach the situation or try to get a resolution for it because it kind of hit me, and I wasn't angry about it, but it was just a situation that I knew
Hmm.
needed a resolution.
Mm.
And so, well, it did make me a
Mm.
tad bit angry.
Tell the truth.
She was
Yeah, let me
peaking.
tell
Tell the
the truth.
truth.
She was
It made
peaking.
me a
She was
tad
peaked.
bit angry. So, but yeah, I was out peak. So,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, Father, I want to send this message to my sisters, but I want to send it the right way. And it took me about an hour
Mhm.
to send the text because I wrote it and I was like, well, Father, I don't want to come off angry to my
Mhm.
sisters. I want to be humble when I send this message. I want to send it the correct way. So I typed it and then I read it. I said, no, that's going to come off. It's going to be angry when that sounds angry. So no,
Mhm.
I deleted some words and then I read it again and I was like, no, that's Father, that's not what I want to say. That's not it either. And I said, Father, give me the right words.
Right.
I wanted to be correct. And I was like, because they know usually when I send a message, I say, I'm humbly saying, I humbly ask, so, it just, about an hour and a half before I got it, halfway what I wanted to say. And I don't think I was angry. It came off in an angry way, But sometimes you just have to, wait and let the Father guide you to what you need to say and how you need to say things. And so it took me close to 2 hours before I could send that message to my sisters. And I think I truly, yes, I was typing delete, typing delete, typing delete. I was typing delete, typing delete.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
It all goes by your conviction, you.
Yeah, so I was sitting. I was like, no, let me put this down. Let me come back.
All
So
right.
I was deleting, typing. And I sat there for a while before I even started. I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I want my sisters to really know that I'm really trying to say this in the correct way, and I want them to accept it that way. So, yeah, you just have to wait.
Go ahead, Kanisha.
In response to the Akuti that just spoke, sometimes those text messages isn't the way either, because those can come across, if you don't have an emoji face or anything like that, sometimes the face-to-face, the hearing of the tones and the pitches in your voice, like face-to-face conversation, that's where a lot of where we fall, we're kind of lagging in communication, is we're always wanting to text and be behind the screen and everything like that. But just even, you like the scriptures say, go 1-to-1, and then if that doesn't work, then bring 2 more, like just like that. So that could have been shortened in just not sending a text, maybe doing a phone call or like a 1-to-1 visit.
Look at Ephesians 4:31. Let all the bitterness and the wrath and the anger, the clamor and the slander be put away from you, along with all malice. And to go back to you saying, okay, you go to you said, you're not gonna please everybody. You can still come humbly, you can take 30 minutes to try to write something. Somebody's still gonna get offended.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be offended.
Right.
No.
But again, if you are working in the guise of the Father, what do you need to worry about that for? You gotta say what needs to be said. Is there somebody has something?
Shalom, Mishpachah.
Shalom.
So really quick, I want to give you guys an example of not taking revenge. So what happens is I realized for the past 4 years that after Passover, after Pesach, all breaks loose, kind of. So it's like one spirit leaves and the 7 comes back, if I'm saying that right. But long story short, on my job, I deal with a corrupt coworker, unfortunately, and this is righteous judgment. I've been feeling bullied, right? So I know you guys are like, my sisters are like, it's always CNO, okay. But listen, I've been so on top of my righteousness. I stay out of the way even when I want to speak. I mean, this coworker has busted open the room that I see my patient, the residents in. This woman said, well, there's an email that went out that said that when you conduct your sessions, you have to keep the door open. Remind you, this coworker is doing things they should not do with a resident. And they tried to put the luggage, because we work at a sober living facility that's at a hotel. They put the luggage rack in between the door and the groove on me. Instead of saying, can you do this or can I do this for you? They just busted it open. But that's not it. It's been so much stuff. Long story short, my the person who is my supervisor, technically, they checked this person in the meeting, and they pretty much said, listen.
Can't hear you.
They pretty much said, listen, we cannot conduct sessions with the door shut because of HIPAA. Did y'all hear the story at all?
Yeah, we heard a little story.
All right. Well, no, but I'm saying this, y'all didn't hear any of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's just been a series of bullying at work, but I know it's because of my righteousness. It's my modest apparel. It's a lot of things. And a lot of the residents like me. But my point is, my supervisor spoke for me. And Father will put the Spirit on people, to move them out of your way. So now I can shut the door like I've been doing, even after she told me. So all praise.
Hallelujah. Yeah, that goes to Psalms 37:8. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself, it tends only to evil. All right. I think I tortured y'all enough. All right. Any questions, comments, or concerns? So we're not going what now? Okay. Huh?
All right, so
We're talking about examples. That's what we're
so
saying.
Oh, we're gonna
so
go with some more
with some of
examples.
these examples, I'm I pray that everyone can see themselves in different situations. But let's just say, for an example, what you heard here, something is not clear, and you guys want some clarity. The floor is open here and on Zoom to give a scenario, and you can use your own if you want, or something similar to yours, or make it up, just so that you can better be able to approach one another.
Let's do this.
Does anyone have an example of that they would like cleared up, or maybe a better approach, or something that they're doing that they may think they can do better, and they have a question about it? Does anyone have that?
So, my question is about this, and I want to say it's a righteous indignation, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to feel like you're correcting the person if you haven't fully arrived yourself. So, how do you deal with a situation where you feel like you know somebody is your brother or your sister, y'all been riding together in this way for a while, and you kind of get to know them a little bit better and see some of their flaws, and you know over time I guess they've known some of your flaws, and you like, I don't know how to approach this person. I don't want this person to think that I'm trying to be judgmental or come at them the wrong way, but I feel some type of way about, maybe I feel like they can do better in how they represent the father, and you know I feel like I want to speak up on it, but I just want to be careful on how I do that.
What are you speaking on? Is there something specific that you're speaking on?
Yeah, just like I said, I just feel like they can do better in how they represent the father.
Okay, so the question would probably be is, you say, hey, I believe that they can represent the father better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they may say that's your interpretation.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
how, that's all I was asking. What
so
it was.
you have to, let's just say, for example, they know your flaws, you know their flaws, whatever it is. First thing becomes should be is, I want to sit down and have a discussion with you, because over time, these are the flaws. And because they was, well, why didn't you say about these flaws earlier? Why are you waiting? What's happening now? In other words, they're going to start idolizing this particular conversation. You said you need a mic?
Yeah,
I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, so it's something that y'all both used to do, right? Or yeah, something that y'all both did, and you've actually got past it. But then as you got past it, you got some more clarity. It's like, does this person has any conviction about this? Because the way that this person go about, where's the conviction? Like, it's almost like it's normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we chilling. And they call me. Or, it's just.
All right. So if you say, hey, I got some clarity on it, and you want to share that with that person, if that person can receive it, hallelujah, no problem. But if it's still unclear to that person, even though it's clear to you, there's nothing wrong with getting another person, a witness, or someone to help to see it. Now, that person says, hey, I still don't see it. They can get a second person. But then after that, that's where I'm saying, I don't know how far has it been taken or not. But let's just say you went, your first stage is you went to that person. The next stage could be you and another person that he mutually respects, because they don't want you to bring somebody that's on your side. And all you're gonna do is just agree and he say, yeah, brother, you're wrong. So the other person comes with mutual respect, and then he may give even more clarification. And then we still gotta give room for the Ruach to come in and intercede there if everyone's already humble. But if he's already on the defensive, you're not gonna really hear much anyway. Right. So it just depends on the atmosphere, if you will, and how it's being conveyed to that person. Mm-hmm.
Kanisha.
Toda. So his question was my question, and my
Glad we answered it. Hallelujah.
partly, but sometimes these discussions can tear down you I don't know if I want to use the word fear, but it can tear down any progress sometimes that person has made. So you kind of tend to tread lightly, but sometimes it can cause certain resentment and animosity. And I didn't want to bring up my question, but he kind of touched on mine a little bit, because I don't want to slander, because it can come across as slandering, and that's not my intention. So I guess my question to attach to his is, what do you do to keep from your I guess you bringing it to the person, to keep from, like, you don't want to be a stumbling block by bringing it up to where whatever progression they did make, it tends to, cause them to fall back more than where they were, I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay, it depends on the situation, but I would simply state that sometimes there is a need for counseling. I don't want to exclude counseling. Right now we're talking about a one-on-one, trying to resolve something in a way that they're hoping they can be received, in any way. But let's just say it's a little bit more than that. If it is, then sometimes counseling is necessary, and the person that's doing the counseling should be a neutral person, again, that they can respect, and they can hear both sides and then give clarity on both sides, and then that may bring that person or both of them up to a point of where they can agree and see the change that needs to take place.
Your whole point can be skewed because of what you're trying not to do. When you're trying not to hurt someone's feelings, when you're trying not to get them upset, then you tend to change some things that you're trying to say, which could also make things unclear for that person as well, because now you're not giving them what you had in your head and what your thought was. So now you can confuse them more too.
I just want to just add really quick that sometimes when we do, want to get some resolve, a lot of times we like to point all the bad stuff, and we never give credit of the good stuff. So if someone has done something that's good in the conversation, let them know, I agree. This is in other words, show that you're not Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all, that your way is the only way. If they've done something that's correct, you can acknowledge what's correct, and then share what you believe is not correct, or want some more clarity in something, and that'll help the dialogue along. But if it's always, every time I talk to this person, I'm always wrong, I never do nothing right. Okay, and so when you have that, they're already on a defensive. You're not going to reach but so far with them, because they're now trying to find some comeback. You ever talk to someone and they want to bring up something that you did? You're like, what's that got to do with this conversation? But they're trying to find a way to get back at you. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Moreh. Yeah. You gonna be off guard on that one. Yeah. Sometimes, people, especially married people, will get into a tense fellowship.
That's a good.
That's right, brother.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's non-void.
Yeah, yes.
It's non-void.
You can't
So
avoid it.
I have learned when those things come in that I'll say what I have to say in the very nicest way I can say it. After that, I have nothing else to say about the situation. That's when I start praising Yah for holding my tongue, because I could have said a whole lot of things that would have intensified the fellowship, So, I just give y'all praise for that. It's not easy sometimes, especially when you have Isha and she's going through something, and you going through something, and both of you are stubborn, bullheaded, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be total chaos. So, Go ahead, boy.
So everybody need to hear this, huh?
It's true, Aki.
But that's how it's supposed to be, you know. To me, that's the way I figure it, you know. And it's to me, it's good the way I'm doing it because I'm happy and giving y'all praise for helping me to grow the way He wants me to grow. Hallelujah.
Xavier.
Can't walk away. Can't stay.
Xavier, you there? You can get your heart right. I know what it is. Take your time.
Oh, he said that. Yeah.
He want to text. He want to type.
Yeah, he gonna have to
Okay.
write it out.
All right.
Oh, there you
I
go.
have to figure this out. Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.
In that same breath, is it so I'm trying to figure out, is it a thin line between being
Love and
passive
hate.
aggressive? Exactly. I was gonna say long suffering and then being passive aggressive. Because I try to do that a lot too. Like you said with that counseling, especially between marriage, is trying to hold my tongue because I am guilty of speaking a lot of things. And then I cause my Isha to be on the defensive a lot of times because our conversations might go the wrong way of me always being right, or at least trying to
Always right.
yeah, always right every time. No, no,
Telling on
but
yourself now.
no, just when we try to, especially when we have discussions about the word and try to find our way, and sometimes we disagree, but I try to use the word as the judge and jury. But I was just wondering if that's the case, is that considered passive aggressive if I
Okay.
hold my tongue?
Okay. So a couple of things. One is there is a difference between passive aggressive and long suffering. So with long suffering, your hopes is to understand and to give that person time to learn and grow and mature. Versus passive aggressive, there's no either you're just holding your tongue, but you're still mad, you're still angry, you're still carrying this thing even after the conversation is over. The other part of it, though, is which we need to consider is sometimes we like to beat people up with the word. you know, and you start saying, but the word says this right here, and it's blah, blah, blah. And you be like, okay, so if you're going to use the word, which is the best thing to use, but then expound on why I'm using the word and then how it applies to this situation. That way they can better understand it and let the word be the say all and end all. But when it comes to long suffering, like if I say, hey, I'm listening to somebody and they're talking and I'm like, I really want to get to the heart of why this person is going through this, or what did I really do to this person? So I'm willing to weigh this out in my heart. I don't have no aggression or passive aggression towards this person because, I really want this to be resolved versus a passive aggression that's not really trying to get a resolve.
Understood. Torah.
Who?
Aliar? Okay.
Shalom, all. I kind of follow up with the Ak that just spoke. What mine would kind of be from like a parent to child relationship. So when it comes to, I believe it was assertive anger and um, righteous anger, or anger that's birthed out of standing on the truth. How do you deal with that parent to child relationship, especially when the parent is not in the truth, doesn't have a desire to seek out what you're learning or how your lifestyle is, and they kind of have like this disdain, and so it's hard for you to either maintain the relationship or just deal with the relationship without crossing that line of whether it's disrespect or just totally cutting them off.
So how, depending on how old the child is, it'll be A. B is if the child is still in your home and you're to raise a child in which they should go, right? But if the child is on his way out the door, for an example, or is gone, then the next thing would be is you shouldn't have an anger because they've now chosen a path. So we would remove the aggressive anger portion of it, or the assertive anger, or even a passive anger, because at this point they've made their mind now. So that's what I said. First, I need to know, is this person in the home or out of the home?
Okay, let me be a little bit more transparent. It's my relationship to my parents.
Oh, the plot thickens. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, so he said between you and your parents. So again, your parents are at a place where, if you're sharing the word, for an example, and let's say they don't receive it, or they're receiving it harshly, or whatever the situation is, you can't be upset because they don't see what you see.
Mm-hmm.
You that's not where it is. I know your heart's there. You want them to be able to come over. You want them, to learn. But at some point, a lot of our parents, a lot of people online can probably say, and here can say, yeah, my parents are the same way, and how the father woke you up necessarily is not going to be the same way he's going to wake your parents up. So you have to remove the anger portion of it, and really focus on, basically your works, how you operate around your parents and towards your parents, in hopes that they can see the light that you're displaying from your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Toda, and I'm going to be a little bit more transparent.
Right,
So
here you
I
go.
think I've graduated from the phase of me trying to express the truth to them or them to get it. So now I'm in the phase of I'm more confident and comfortable in walking in the word of Yahuah, but their behavior towards me is like they don't respect it. So when they come in my atmosphere, it's a lot of disrespect. And so that's where the anger builds up in me. It's like, if you don't like how I'm living or what I'm doing, or it's not a light to you, or you're not getting anything from it, then why do you choose to put yourself in my atmosphere and cause chaos? But from my end, I'm saying I don't want to respond to that in a certain type of anger.
Okay, I get it. So, in layman's terms, when they come into, let's say your home, or wherever you are, and they disrespect what you believe, that's when you share with them. You can be assertive at that point. You don't have to be angry, but you can be assertive as to, listen, when you come around my house, or X, Y, and Z, this is what I do. Can you respect this? Can you respect that? If they can't, then you have to let that go.
Mm-hmm. You can walk on out the door.
Toda.
Mishael,
you had something?
Shalom. Yeah, I just what Akuti had just mentioned. I kind of want to share my similar witness. I live with my parents who they aren't in the walk. Oh, y'all already know. Y'all this is y'all my family. You already know the deal. Let me just put it all right out there too for everybody. But so I had realized that sometimes sometimes my dad, he likes to debate people on stuff, and I had realized that you know I would kind of let him provoke me to where I would get to a place where I would argue in my emotions, and I would use the word, but I would be trying to explain it from my own emotions. You know what I'm saying? And so the other day, I think it was kind of a small breakthrough for me. I was like, I apologize, because I believe that I could have been a better witness to you about this, and like Moreh Lamadyahu has mentioned this, I know that the delivery counts, how I share this word, and not doing it with the some people say the "I told you so" spirit. So I definitely, I have to check myself in that, but with the spirit of meekness, and like like you mentioned that everybody gets to they choose their path, they make their decision, they're persuaded in their own mind, but all I can do is be a light, and um you know continue to walk how I walk, and just not let the words, because sometimes the words people say can be like, can make you feel some type of way and can make you be passive aggressive or openly aggressive. So that's something I've had to learn is no matter what other people say, what other people do, I in my house, me personally, I serve Yahuah. And so that's my testimony. So, hallelujah.
All right. But we appreciate you, brother,
Sorry
sharing.
Sorry for 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's okay.
You can cut me off.
Hallelujah.
Anybody else? Like I said, everybody got situations, right? But the main situations is between us. Everybody in the house. Everybody that's on the ark. How do we resolve anger? How do we resolve our issues with one another? So I'm not too much worried about what happened at work with unbelievers. But it's important how we deal with our issues amongst each other. Because I can't expect to be going into the kingdom and I can't stand looking at you. I can't expect to go into the kingdom and I have anger in my heart towards you. And every time I see you, I use passive aggressive techniques.
Hey, how you doing?
It's okay. I'm smiling.
Hey.
But I really don't like you.
They turn around. I can't stand.
I don't know what it is about you.
You see what they got on today?
But I don't like
that
you.
yesterday, didn't they?
And if you think you fooling anybody, you are absolutely positively not. The only person you fooling is you.
Yourself.
So every time these lessons come forth, don't just let it wash over you as if, oh, he's not talking to me. It's talking loud and clear to me. And how I'm supposed to be.
You forget that count, David.
Huh? Yeah. We talk about taking this personal accountability thing. We've been talking about it a long time. So guess what? We ain't gonna have no excuses when it's time to go. But if your oil is low, it's because you wasn't stacking your cheddar. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't saving for the rainy day. You wasn't putting it to the side. You were burning it all in one shot every time you get it. You know what I'm saying? I know I say things.
You just dated yourself. That's all.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's all right. Hey,
jab turkey.
Hey, I don't get it. I'm a 70s kid. You know. So all I'm trying to say is this is very, very important.
Yes.
Now, like Imad did, assertive anger.
It was assertive.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to do that. When I go in there and see the kitchen not clean properly, and everybody done left and they said the kitchen was clean, I get a little heated.
A little bit.
Just a little, because then I got to stay extra and clean.
No, you don't.
No, I'm not talking about my. Don't let me get me started on my house. Don't get me started on that. But I'm saying, we dealing with each other. This is what this is about. This is what this whole lesson is all about. Each other.
It's about you. The anger, rage, and wrath that is in you.
So as we dealing with each other today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, this should be in your mind.
Somebody back there?
So I was about to say, I have a question really quick. So with let me go back here. Can I move your slide?
Sure, Moreh Jr. Junior Moreh.
All right. I was just asking. I was like, yes, sir.
There's some people that got access to it. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're right here. Okay, so when you have your open aggression, your assertive aggression, right here with open aggression. Well, actually, it doesn't say it here. Huh? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yelling, that type of thing. So if somebody is upset and they're telling you why they're upset and they're hot in that moment, right? And they start yelling the reason why they're upset. Okay. But then let's say if they try to walk away from the situation, let me calm myself and then come back to it when I can talk more calmly. But then, of course, while they're trying to walk away, the person is, antagonizing them or whatever. How would that situation be able to be handled where it doesn't turn into open aggression without, somebody getting violent and all that type of situation? If the person won't let them walk away so that way they can come back assertive, but not. No,
Yeah,
this is just a general question.
Look, it depends on the maturity level of the people involved.
We're going to have to pray about this.
The persons involved, the maturity level. Now, if you have someone who is not as mature comes yelling at someone else because they perceive something they did was upsetting,
Assumptions.
right? The person that's mature is going to sit there and say, "Well, I did what? Okay, hold on. Well, look. You're angry right now. Come back and talk with me when you calm down a little bit, because I really want to resolve. I don't want you to be upset." But the person that's immature say, "I don't know who you yelling at. I don't know who you think you talking to. I put my pants on one leg at a time as you. You just jumping yours out. Yeah, but I'm saying you see the difference on how you respond. If your response, that's going to tell you your maturity level. If you think you're somewhere in Yah, and somebody comes in there and yelling at you, you're going to find out real quick where you at. Because you're going to be like, first, if you respond calmly, then you're like, okay, I'm not pleasant. I'm not happy with you yelling at me, but apparently you're upset. But when your response is anger in return,
hit escape.
Yeah, two angry people ain't gonna get nothing resolved.
Hit escape.
Yeah, I say in closing, just kind of consider a couple of things. Is you're going to learn if some things are just dormant in you versus something that is no longer in you, and just consider that. If you say I've been delivered, I'm healed from it, you'll know when a situation comes up. It definitely will let you know it just went dormant because you didn't have to deal with it at that time, but now I got to deal with me. Because now it then came back up. I realized that what I thought I got over, I really didn't get over. And then you have to realize that there's still some work that needs to be done within you. And knowing that at that time you can share with the person, hold on, I'm seeing myself. Be transparent. I'm seeing myself. I'm about to get angry, but upset. That person might say, whoa, that's not my intent. Or, okay, great. But like he said, somebody has to be mature in the situation. If both is angry, fussing, and fighting, nothing is going to get resolved. So someone has to be the better person. The person that's saying, calm down, we'll revisit later, or whatever it is, that doesn't make that person weak. That's the stronger person. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And, as we continue with the lessons, that we can recognize that sometimes people can provoke you. You have to, and when they provoke you, that doesn't give you the green light to provoke back. Like, that's a good thing. Because some people do that too. And then they want to come back and apologize. But sometimes it's hard because some of the words that person used, either one, hurt so much, they will always remember what you said.
It all goes back to your feelings, your reaction, and your response to the situation. It's always going to be taking a question. Go ahead.
Someone had a question?
Yeah, Shemaya.
I have a question.
Shemaya.
Okay, I want to make sure that it's not necessarily holding things, maybe suppressing. I don't know, but I have a tendency to, if someone makes me angry, I will kind of process or talk myself out of it. I'll kind of look at the situation extremely deeply and try to see if, I wouldn't say necessarily make excuses for that person, but I would try to look at the situation and try to figure out that maybe possibly it was not that. And normally what happens is after about the second or third time it happening, usually takes about 3 times it happening. And I realized it was that. Now I'm angry. So how would I deal with that? Just because sometimes it's true that it's that person didn't do that. And then there are other times where that person actually did do that.
Okay. So each time I wouldn't wait though. At each time, that's the time to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way you can either sense or develop a pattern, or the person can see the pattern. But verbally doing it and talking about it allows that person to see, yeah, you just said that last week. And yep, I'm starting to see a pattern here, But like you say, suppressing it, if you're suppressing it, just understand who you're suppressing it for. Is it for that other person or is it for yourself? Now, if it's for yourself, just understand you're going to be beating yourself up later. They don't know me. Back in the day, I'm glad I'm saved now. You see what I mean? But I won't say nothing. What do you mean? You know what I mean? You see, when we take that stance, we automatically say, that shouldn't even be me. What is going on inside of me? So I would say deal with it at that moment, verbally, not within yourself, not internalize it. Verbalize it that way, and when you do it again, it's how you deliver it, but you make it known, and then if it continues, then you can get yourself a witness, then you can get yourself a counsel, because now it's been verbalized, there's a pattern set, and then you can say, okay, this is not getting better, it seems like it's getting worse, then let's deal with it that way. But give both you that person and the other person that opportunity to fix it first, because that way it tends to happen when you can fix it and that person can fix it. You might find out you guys can start growing together because of how it was fixed or how it was mended.
Then the more the
So what came to my mind when Moreh Chanan was speaking about the focusing on in-house. So what came to my mind is, what about the false brethren? Yeah, false brethren.
force. I was say
False brethren.
Oh, that's that Jersey. That's that
No,
Jersey
New
coming out of
Jersey.
him. Go ahead.
So what about the brethren? I mean, I see. Look, y'all got the brethren.
just trying to understand.
We got some new brothers now. We got the Frederick and the Forcer. Got it.
Yeah, that's not true.
Gotcha.
That's among us.
Well, I mean, the difference is if it's a false brother, then you have to determine what makes them false.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? So when we expand on what makes them false, without saying you're just false. No, you first share what false brother is, go over it and says, brother, is that true? Did that really happen? But no, then you would have to say this is false. You see what I mean? So in other words, your whole point of is all the time within each other is to try to get a resolve, try to do this righteously. The Most High is going to have to be in the mix on a lot of communication that we do with one another, because we've been raised in so much nonsense, and it's easy, very easy to slide into our emotions. It's hard to slide into Yah's word in these heated situations, right? So if someone's false, all you simply do is say, okay, well, let me share with you why that's not correct. Now, you're wrong, you're false, and let me tell you why. Well, you've already got lost them. It's already done. But if you say, okay, hold on, because that I don't believe that was true, and let me share with you why. And then you share with them, you say, this didn't happen. Where did you get this from? Well, someone told me. I said, well, that person told you wrong. It becomes false. And they'll start to see that, wow, well, maybe I jumped the gun on this. So that's what I'm saying, just walking it out.
All right.
Dode?
Yeah.
Okay, more Dode?
I'm here.
I'm so happy you're here.
Please.
You had a question or something?
Yes, I had what to address what Sharon was saying about amongst us. Sometimes amongst us, the mature thing is to let it go. Some things you just got to let go, and understand who you talking to, and when it comes to a brother or sister, that's still a brother, that's still a sister. So why are you holding on to whatever is occurring so deeply? Sometimes you just gotta let things go and come at it in a different way.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Right, key. I know. Yeah.
So much on my mind. I refuse
Huh?
to lose hope.
Is it okay to have conversations with yourself
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Why
like
not?
answer yourself as well?
Hey, how you doing?
You
Yeah.
know, because I'm an only child, so I've had times where I've been angry.
Mhm.
So, like with my parents or something like that, and I felt it like kind of rise up and boil up, and I've kind of stepped away from it at times. I'm still working on this till this day. Just have conversations with myself and answering myself like, nah, you need to go over there and do that. You need to do better, this, that, and the other. Like, all right, okay, I got to go ahead and do it.
Well, I would say yes. The reason why I say it is because sometimes you can work things out that way.
Mhm.
A lot of us talk out loud to ourselves or in our minds, but it helps us to work things out. You know, how it would sound versus, because if you say just you're your own soundboard, right? So it gives you the opportunity to think. But the hopes in doing that conversation with yourself is really asking the Father to give you the answer while you're working this thing out within you. So that's why I'll say yeah.
That's it.
All right. If all hearts and minds is clear.
Zakim Yahuah.
Okay.
We got another part of this, right? Next week?
Sure.
Oh.
No, no.
They
Not
said
next week.
Not next week? Oh, I thought you was going to continue
Contract is
on.
done.
Oh. Yeah. I guess it's No. Low. Of course, we all grateful to hear from Moreh Lamadyahu.
Hello, self.